perfect week. He made no mistakes in free practices, did well qualifying. P1 had finished first place and had the fastest lap. First place, fastest lap qualifying. He's good enough to be a champion if you give him a good car.
It was a commanding performance from lap 1 right onto the end. He got the pit stops right. He was efficient in the corners. And there was no doubt that was going to win that race. There was no doubt.
And he's gotten to the point now where, if not co-favorites, he's the favorite for the championship right now. Beginning of the year, all we heard, Norris this, Norris that. Whatever you want to say about Norris, what we can say is that he's been botching his qualifyings. We can say he botched the start of the race. He got a 5-second penalty, which cost him P2 because he wasn't starting from the right place in the grid by millimeters. You got to check your box.
That was a very basic error. I was surprised he made that kind of error. But
he made that error.
Yeah. But back to Piastri, there was never a doubt he was going to convert that pole.
Oh, no, it wasn't even, we were worried about Russell. I wasn't even watching Piastri. Fabi, did you notice how Norris went off and locked his brakes trying to pass Leclerc? It took him too long to pass Leclerc. And Leclerc outfoxed him, went where he knew he was going to be. It took him way too long to pass. So two things, that 5-second penalty he had for a stupid mistake at the top, not making sure your car's lined up. Then the lot that he lost, choking behind Leclerc, locking his brakes. Those guys were defending him, knowing exactly where he was going to go. Then he didn't have enough time to pass Russell. Once again, the so-called chosen one is flopping big time to someone who's been on the team for only 3 years now.
I mean, I think he was very unlucky at the start because he was just a few centimeters in front of that line, and he went from, he overtook a lot of cars. He went through a lot of traffic in that first lap, that first corner, to get a lot of position. I think he was very unlucky. I don't know.
Hold on. Two things. Unlucky. Two things. Let's forget about that. Then his motherfucking ass made a mistake with Hamilton, had to give a place back. Then he locked out. Were you watching the same race I watched? He made mistakes.
I saw all of that.
Those mistakes were beyond luck. He could control them. If not for how he fucked up with Leclerc, even with that 5-second penalty, he would have still come second. Let's not say mistakes for this guy. He's a fucking douchebag who messes up. He fought back and he still made mistakes. He had handling problems trying to pass people in cars that are slower than him. So it's not just mistake. And also, being a few millimeters behind the line. I'm shouting because I'm enjoying this. A few millimeters behind the line, he made a mistake again. He always makes some mistake. These are mistakes that people like Verstappen don't make. Whether it's an inch or a millimeter, make sure you're lined up at the start of the race. Nobody's to blame for that except for him. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so I was going to say that he was very unlucky. And despite that, he did manage to get past a lot of cars in that first corner. And it showed that the McLaren car is very fast on this track. It should have been an expected 1-2. Yes, the mistakes that he made, despite the mistakes that he made, he was still all over Russell towards the end. And Russell on a car with soft tires that were, 20 laps old. He ought to have been able to have. He was outdriven by Russell in what was a slower car, and he should have really finished second at the very worst. However, Norris by himself had said before the race that he's not really worried at this stage, so long as he gets a podium finish. So despite the mistakes that he made, he's still there or thereabouts, and he's still very much a clear and present danger.
And it's the same old story. He continues flopping. He says he doesn't care about his position, but he botches qualifying laps. He's not getting a lot of qualifying laps. He's having handling problems. That's the big story. It's not a matter of story.
His main rivals are Piastri and Verstappen. And,
he only has one rival, Piastri, who's the number one driver on his team. He needs to be very worried. He needs to be very worried.
He's trying to win a championship. So Verstappen could win the championship. Piastri could win the championship. So that's why I'm saying that those are
because the first rule in F1 is before you even look outside at another driver, you better make sure you have your own teammate handled. While he's looking at Verstappen, Piastri's way ahead. Piastri's not making mistakes. If I were Verstappen, I wouldn't even be worried about Norris. I'd be worried about Piastri. That's the point.
Piastri, how many races has Piastri won this season? I think Norris has won.
Two. Goddamn, Kool-Aid, do your research.
Australia.
And then Norris.
Research, Kool-Aid. Are you watching F1 anymore? He's won two. Just so you know, Kool-Aid, he's won two He's won twice, and he's had two.
He's won twice, and Norris has won how many?
One.
One, China.
We're not
Yeah,
even halfway through the season, and
I
a lot
know,
can
but
still
here's the
happen.
thing. I know, but this guy, and this is where the analytical comes in. Norris had the fastest car last year. He bottled it. He continually has a pattern which he should be worried about. That's all I'm saying. And the question, and I'm going to go on record, he can't handle the pressure. He has all the skill in the world. He can't handle the pressure of a championship drive. And he's going to shrink back and happily come second because there's no pressure in that. Put a gun to my head now and say who's going to win the championship. I'll tell you, I'll give it to Norris. I'll give it to Piastri 55% to 45 to Norris. So Norris still has a good chance of winning. But what I'm saying is that let it be documented. He has a history of bottling it. He is mishandling the best car in F1. Today he came third to Mercedes, to George Russell in an inferior car with no DRS. All I'm saying is that so far we give this guy a C. We have to give Piastri an A.
Getting wins during these early races is very crucial. In as much as it is still very early in the season, making sure that you get ahead now. When you have the strongest car, the strongest balance, and all those things is very crucial, which we've seen sort of Norris botching with all these little mistakes add up to a big setback. And when you have people who are struggling around you, not making those mistakes, then they beat you. I don't think Leclerc was entirely happy with those hard tires. No one was happy with the hard tires today, but Norris struggled to pass him. George Russell's car had so many issues. DRS, no brakes. I think his brakes were all over the place. He had a lot of technical issues today, but he was a Piastri has been showing strength even in last year, being the most consistent driver last year, the only driver to finish every lap of every race in 2024, which seemed to be like a tall order. No other driver did that. So that's the kind of consistency that is going to win you championships. And I think checking from last year, hopefully even from this year, Piastri seems to be learning from his mistakes and moving ahead strongly. I think if you're Lando Norris, you cannot adopt this kind of idea that you don't really care much about. You have to care about every point. When the field is so tight and so close. I mean, even the Ferraris, even with bad tires strategy, look like this new floor upgrade really worked for them. I mean, like it's so mixed up in terms of who's taking points from who. Gasly was there for a while before he dropped off. Albon was there as well in the top 10, at some point even higher up. Tsunoda has also improved, and I think the more he gets used to that car, he'll also be there in like the 6th and 7th position. So every mistake you make, and especially mistakes made in qualifying, much like the mistakes that are being made in qualifying by someone like Hamilton, really cost you. We also saw that a bad qualifying cost Max even in today's race, who he thought would be great up there, but because of grip issues and all those things, problems with pit stops and all that stuff, it was a crazy race, but it was a fascinating race to watch. Actually, enjoyed.